Thank you for watching, listening to another episode of PERC Up with the President. I am Dr. Howard Spearman, and I am so excited to be here today with Dr. Azam. And I'm going to have her first introduce herself, but before we do that, remember, when we talk about PERC Up, we're talking about persistence, enrollment, retention, and completion. And when you add all of that together, it equates to student success. So, Dr. Azam, thank you for being a part of PERC Up today. I truly appreciate it. As we get started, would you please simply introduce yourself and maybe share, how long you've been teaching, subjects that you typically teach, and then how long have you been at Rock Valley College teaching?
Thank you very much, Dr. Howard, for having me over. I really appreciate that. And I joined Rock Valley College in 2012. So that was my first semester here. So I've been here for a while now. And actually, I really enjoy teaching at Rock Valley College because when I first came in, the department where I started off with life sciences was very accepting of me, very helpful, and everything, of course, it's difficult to start off new, but everything worked out very well for me. And I enjoy not only being in the college, but also living in Rockford. And before that, I had been teaching as an adjunct, the same subjects at College of Lake County, and for the major part from 2005. So these are my subjects. I graduated from Pakistan, from the Dow University of Health Sciences, and I migrated here for many years now. I'm an American, of course, and then I have been teaching for some long time now.
So how did you get into teaching?
Okay, so my background is pathology. I'm an MD, and I did my research and my work as a pathologist in the States with a hospital affiliated with the University of Illinois. But I always found my interest more towards teaching because that was a small part of what we were being trained for. And then after a few years of working as a pathologist and a research fellow, I basically had to take some time off. Now, once I take some time off, it's difficult to get back in, and I also thought that I should explore new things. So exploring new things, I found my sort of my nest, and I joined at College of Lake County. I was lucky enough to get in there and started teaching my subject over there. So 2005.
2005.
Yeah.
So already, I just learned something new. I did not know that you were an MD.
Yes.
So maybe talk to me a little bit about that. What made you go down that path, and then not only go down that path, but you completed it? What was your inspiration?
Okay, when I joined, that's a very long time ago. So yes, it is. My inspiration was, of course, always a push from a family that was very, very structured for education. So you have, especially for girls, from the culture where I come in, especially for girls, be educated and be independent. That was the goal of the family, and most of the family members are that way. So that was my passion, and I completed it. I completed it when I moved here in the Suns and taking all those exams and completing it. But I realized, and the subject that I was doing, pathology, it's not clinical at all. Okay, it's not clinical at all, and it is, and that's where I realized that I would like to do teaching while being connected. And the subject that I teach, anatomy and physiology now, that keeps me connected with that.
That makes sense. So what made you select a community college?
Specifically, The community college, I selected it because I really, after a break, I really wanted, and I'm being very honest that it is difficult to get back after a break of a few years. And I was trying very hard to get into any one of those, and I interviewed at multiple, and I decided on that because at that point, for whatever reason, there were many, there was this position that for anatomy and physiology instructor. With my background, it was sort of acceptable that I could, and I did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, thank you. So, that's a little bit about your success and how you sort of started, and it was a family commitment and, of course, a personal commitment. You had to have wanted it as well to make it happen. So, let's transition over to students. Student success, persistence, enrollment, retention, completion. Is there one that you focus on more than the other?
Yes, and of all of these, I feel that persistence and retention, they're sort of connected. Okay, so let me just say about enrollment is the fact that yes, we check at enrollment and the various committees and the various ways, and students will always enroll for what they need. That is what I feel. For student success, as an instructor, I feel it is very important to be a very persistent person. Okay, teaching, regardless of where you're teaching, needs that term there. You have to be very, very strongly committed to that term, persistence. So I look at it in two ways. I'd like to encourage student persistence and maintain the persistence in myself. Okay, so student persistence is, of course, being able to encourage them, being there for them so that they persistently are there. They are interested in coming back to your next lecture session. They are interested in staying back for those extra few minutes of lab that go over some of the times because we have a lab and lecture. So that is what my thing for persistence is. And then there are other things as well that as an instructor, I feel that students would be more persistently doing things which would lead to their success if they are given something consistently, like being consistent, being on time, and things that all instructors do. Besides all those things, making like a very organized set, and to be very organized is a pretty difficult job. And I feel that I have to, now the instructor persistence come in, okay? I feel that as an instructor, I have to persistently keep making changes, okay? Being adaptive. And each semester I realized that over the years that even though it is the same course that I'm teaching, the students change, their needs change. And even from the day classes that I teach to the evening classes, there's a marked difference in student needs. So that is something that I have to continuously work on persistently. For example, how would I encourage that in students? So what I do is, okay, I'm persistently going to give you this assignment, expect you to complete it on time, but these are the rules that you have to follow, and it would be the same rules from assignment to assignment, and then students get that feeling that yes, this is something that needs to be done. And the other thing that I have set rules for students. Okay, for instance, in turning in assignments on time. In order to encourage them to be there, I also make some adaptations. Okay, if you can't turn it on time, you can still turn it in, but there is a penalty for that. And I think most instructors would do that. And I think keeping it consistently the same, it is helping. Another way of that I feel is reaching out to the students persistently, keeping track of their performance, sending out personal emails, or now, I just set up a Zoom conference only on Thursday because the student said that I work and I can't see you or get on the Zoom office hours that you have. So you just set up, so I decided to just set up that appointment with him. So basically, persistently encouraging students, yes, come on, come in and learn. I am there for you, and I would like to help you. I can make a plan for you if you are, struggling. And that is the main thing. Now, as far as my second point, which is retention, is to keep them interested. How do I keep them interested? Of course.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. I ask my students, what do they want? So.
Okay. What do they want as far as a grade or experience in the classroom?
Experience in the classroom. That is the important thing. So I ask my students at about 6 weeks, at the 6th week, that is my typical time frame. So I like to ask them, actually, and I employ different methods of asking them, is, this is the 6th week, you have been with me, you've seen my style of instruction, my style of quizzes, exams, and everything. So I give them, either I give them a postcard or tell them just use whatever. Tell me, what do you like about my course? What do you not like about my course or myself?
Oh, you're willing to take that risk, huh?
I am, yes. And what should be stopped and what should be added? These are my typical questions. So I like to do these. I know instructor evaluations are done, but these are the ones that I like to do with students.
Well, the difference is you're not waiting to the end of the term to do it. You're doing it somewhere in between after they had a chance to actually think about that. So they've been informed now. They've had an experience in your classroom. Now you're asking them for their reflections, and specifically not just their experience in the classroom, but their experience directly with you as their instructor. Interesting.
Yes, I like that because then, for instance, if a student, and I tell them that they will, most of my students like to get back or give us less quizzes. I said, that's not happening. That's a permanent thing, that's not happening. But yes, for instance, can you put, I recently transitioned into online teaching, which was pretty difficult. But can you put in more video clips? Can you change a timing for something? Can you increase the time and something? And because this is early on in the semester, I can do it. I mean, I think it only makes sense to get that feedback and make some changes during that time.
So, first of all, when it comes to persistence and retention, you think you're aware of that from the beginning of your class, and you develop some type of assessment to make some type of change, potentially. Maybe most students are comfortable with where you're at or their experience in the class, but you're at least assessing your classroom or their environment and how they're moving forward. And for you to do that consistently is a persistent strategy for you in the classroom. And do you believe that helps with your student success or the completion of a term?
Since I started this, I do believe that. Yes, it does help. Because when students feel that they are actually participating, they're actually contributing. And sometimes I tell them that even If I am not able to make that change this semester, it is going to help other students who come in next semester. I think students do feel good about it, that they are helping me also at the same time. That is what I feel.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. I think in leadership, I think that's a wonderful skill to have. You know, as the president, it's my job to help develop a plan of action for the campus, or a strategic enrollment management plan, or a campus strategic plan, right? And it's important to have a base, but you also have to understand that even though you have a plan in place, you have to build in space or time for refinement, for flexibility, some changes, right? Can you imagine, well, I didn't have to do this part, but could you imagine if you established your plan at the beginning of COVID, and then all of a sudden you had to change your class around in the middle of COVID, and you were not willing to do that? That would be a struggle, right? And you have to have that flexibility or that mindset to be willing to change with the times, right? So, and of course, I know you had to do that, but it's important to have that characteristics regarding leadership and flexibility. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. So I have another question. I want to think back to your first semester teaching, right? And how you walked into the classroom, maybe how you delivered your curriculum, to maybe this semester teaching. What advice would you give yourself your first semester?
First semester, I teach anatomy and physiology. Okay, so walking in the class that many years ago is, it is pretty difficult to go back and give the advice, but to my advice to myself is what I've been practicing is to continuously try to improve myself, continuously try to do better than what I did in the previous semester. It's not always possible, but that is my goal, to do better and to be able to understand the students better.
I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. When I used to get into, when I used to do my advising, and some semesters I would teach, and I've taught at a graduate level, I've taught at undergraduate level. One thing I've learned is that, well, from the teaching perspective, is it seems like classes have their own personalities. And if you build your class on what you've always done, you're not always ready for the new class that's in front of you. And that was a major aha for me when I was teaching in adjunct roles. Have you experienced that a lot?
That is absolutely true. I agree with that, because what works for one set of a section doesn't work for the other one. That is absolutely correct, and the difference is so marked when I teach anatomy and physiology as a day section during the day. Student population is totally different, okay, and the evening section, student population is totally different. Their needs, their demands actually are very different from the day. So that does make a significant difference, and that's where the flexibility has to be there, because if I'm very mindset in what I'm doing for my one set of students and I try to apply it to the others, it would not work. It would most certainly not work. Even if now, because I have that example in front of me, and if you don't mind, I can sort of elaborate on that. Because they're much younger students who take the day classes. They find it overwhelming, because at the beginning of the course, and all instructors teaching A and B tell the students, yes, this is a very difficult course. It is a lot of stuff, okay? New vocabulary and a lot of new learning in the 16 weeks, okay? And we feel, I feel the pressure that I really have to get the message through and correctly, because my students are going into professional colleges such as nursing or physical therapy. So I have to get that thing really right. So, and all the instructors who are teaching this, I believe, feel the same way. So those younger students feel the pressure more. The more mature students who come straight after work, they're very organized, okay? They really need, they want to get as much as they want, you know, as much as they can out of the course, because they're very set. So as an instructor, I feel that, you know, the difference between the two groups.
One wants to just get through it.
Yes,
And the other
to
is
the
like
next, pursuing it to the next level. And the others are very set and they're more successful. Not to say that the morning ones are not. I have had students who are taking over 18 credit hours and they're still getting an A in A and B, which is amazing, I must say. And you asked me why did I choose community college. I was trying to get in the nature of the student population, the diverse nature, that has always interested me a lot. Because I really, really respect the students, because it is a very different population from when I went to school and had to just worry about getting myself educated, versus these students who are not only getting themselves educated, they're thinking about the future, they're taking care of their families. I really, really respect them as clients and working at the same time.
Thank you. I know our students are doing so much and juggling so many things. And so I appreciate hearing your compassion for their experience. So thank you. So, Dr. Azam, what are some things to keep you grounded or balanced outside of the classroom?
I really, can you explain it a little bit more?
Yes, sure. You know, a lot of times I talk about holistic supportive development, care, and it's important. I notice you challenge yourself, and when it comes to persistence, and you want to make sure that you're consistently staying on top of ways to engage your students. How do you keep yourself in the community, or when I say balanced, sometimes there's a way that keeps you calm, keeps you, what I feel is always balanced. For me, I like exercising, I do biking, I believe in spirituality. I have all these different things that help balance my personal life with my work life. What is that for you?
Yeah, we do need a balance between work and personal life. Thank you for explaining that. So yes, I have some activities, not a whole lot, but I do. I do have a spiritual side, a religious side, so that is there. I'm not like an exercise enthusiast, but I must say that I like to enjoy walks, and that is my most favorite exercise for calming and thinking. And other than that, I also like to read. So reading, you know, mostly not as much fiction, but biographies and stuff like that. I like to read. So these are some of the things, and then participate in other family activities and community activities as well. So I like to do that. Like, you know, sometimes there are various activities even offered by the Faculty Association over here, which I like to participate in. such as helping at the food banks and stuff like that with the faculty, Rock Valley College Faculty Association. And then, well, I am on the committee for the Social and Welfare Committee for the Faculty Association. And I like to, roll on some ideas and participate in that as well.
So not only are you trying to keep yourself so balanced, but you're finding strategies to help other faculty members keep balanced as well.
I think that's what is my motivation for, keeping me balanced.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. So, is it possible for you to share a story about maybe there's a student that you've been working with and sort of, I've always felt inspired when I'm able to help a student. It reminds me of why we do what we do at many times. Is there one experience that comes to mind or just keeps you going? Or maybe sometimes you have a tough experience with teaching and you can go back into your memory and say, this is why I do what I do. Is there a certain teaching experience you'd like to share?
Yeah, there are some, but not very significant ones. But yes, there are a few that I would like to share. And I frequently come across students who really do need to take a biology course, and they hate biology. So as completing is a gen ed course. So the other course that I teach is human biology, which is sort of an introductory human biology course. So I had the student who really wanted to be successful, and she said, I'm really doing very poorly, and I could see that in your course, so I need some strategies. So I helped her set the strategies. So she finished the course, she passed the course, and her strategies were that every quiz she would just come in my office hours, okay, go over each and every one of the questions with me. So I did that. And then later she passed the course, and many years after, she said, I'm not pursuing any science things, but that helped me get my associate. So that really made me very happy. And then I also like to encourage or push students to do more than they can, or like for them to look for themselves or find in themselves something that would push them further. So and this is really, I was very happy for this student because he was working very hard in my evening A&P course, and he wanted to get into a pharmacy program, into a very high-tiered pharmacy program. And I kept on pushing him that, yes, you can do it. You can do it. He was a very good student, no doubt about it. He was always getting A's. But then I said, what are your other options? What are you thinking about? How did you make that decision for pharmacy? He was a very quiet student. And he said, oh, I was thinking of going into medical school, but I think that would be too much. I don't think I can get there. And then I was on his case, no, you can get there. You can get there. And take the MCATs, you can get there. And I think after, well, he passed the course with an A, and I was very sure that he would get in that pharmacy program of his choice. Then I think 2 years later, he stopped by my office, and he said, I listened to you, and now I got into the University of Illinois School of Medicine at Rockford.
Wow.
So that is my happiest story ever.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that.
I am very happy that this was a Rock Valley College student.
Absolutely. We have so many of our students that go on to 4 years in medical schools and things of that. I love hearing that they started here. And most of our students are really really successful, more successful than the student who started at the 4-year institution as well. So kudos to, I guess, all of us for helping that student. So, but thank you again. I appreciate it, Dr. Azam. There you have it, another episode of PERC Up. with the president, and this time we're able to really understand student success or persistence, enrollment, retention, completion through the faculty lens of Dr. Azam. And if you were listening, you will learn that it's important to think through persistence as a way of engaging students semester to semester. It's important to do your own self-assessment as well as allowing the students to assess you. As we know, it's important for us to be able to identify and engage students, and this was another way that we can engage students and challenge ourselves to be better in how we interact with students semester to semester. So thank you for listening. Have a great day. Enjoy the semester.